Hello again, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to an audio only broadcast. Right now, my face is still pretty sore, so you will all see me tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow with my face. um, but yeah, it's really important. Today, we're going through a ton of information that is pretty incredible, pretty mind blowing. I can't tell you that I have all of the answers today because we're going to be exploring realms that I haven't really explored personally. We are getting into a lot of astrological stuff, basically astrophysics. We're going to be talking about the inner Earth, planet Nibiru or the second sun, the hybrid children, directed energy weapons. What is the purpose of source? I mean, you name it, we're getting into it today. And I am going to have to do a little bit of live channeling as well today, just because, once again, I don't have all the answers. Yeah, so I can see the chat here, which is awesome. And because this is the audio only version of YouTube, I couldn't have the chat for members only. But of course, these are still all of your lovely questions, and they are pretty epic. If this podcast, if this recording, if this video, oh, that was kind of scary actually. Um, if this resonates with you, then super chats, just like I had that scared me, is super appreciated. And make sure that you subscribe, you give this video a little thumbs up, and that yeah, that helps me. So thank you guys. Tomorrow's video is also going to be super epic. I've been receiving a ton of downloads recently. I'm still just trying to figure out which download to present to all of you tomorrow, so check that out. I will be around tomorrow live with my face, so hopefully you guys are very kind, because I did have that kind of procedure done and my face looks very red and burnt and sore. Yeah, other than that, let's just dive into it. Let's get into it. So, first question here is from Eddie Sad. Thank you so much for all of my members and all of your wonderful questions as well. These are really epic this week. So, first question is, hi EA. I was amazed in learning about the civilizations living inside the Earth. Can you talk more about them? Awesome. Thank you so much, Sherry, for that wonderful super chat. And also, thank you, Heather, for that super chat. So, inner Earth civilizations, I do have some of my own personal experiences with them. Obviously, I don't do any external research or reading, so I don't know, what the literature is out there. I will say, just in general, I personally tend to focus more on the interdimensional beings off the planet than the ones underground. The two experiences that I had is one time a long time ago, maybe around 2012, I remote viewed and astral traveled upon realizing that there is an inner Earth civilization. And I went into the inner Earth, and it was amazing. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Um, it literally looked like a whole other planet down there. And if you really think about it, it honestly is. It's like it's huge. It's massive. I don't know where or how there's a light source down there, but there's a sun as well. I don't know if I could even call it a sun, but it's quite bright down there. There's trees and plants, and a lot of the time it's so lush. There's different atmospheres there, and there's also water, lots of water, fresh water, and there's cities down there, and there's tons of beings that you just wouldn't even expect. I mean, there's a lot of beings in the inner Earth civilizations that I've never even seen off this planet. There's blue beings down there that I've seen. There's insectoid beings like the ant, the builder races that are down there. There's a lot of human looking beings. There's also giant human beings that are down there looking very much so like the Nephilim or the Anunnaki. Um, Now, of course, there are other caverns and caves underneath the earth that are housing reptilians. A lot of these reptilians, let's say the nefarious ones, aren't actually allowed or haven't been allowed by their own reptilian leaders to be a part of the inner earth civilization. And that kind of sucks. And thank you, Jennifer, for that super chat. I don't know how to turn off the sound, or I don't know if you guys can hear that sound as well on your end, but it kind of scares me every time it happens. Um, anyway, and so yeah, and so there are reptilian beings that are also underground, but once again, like I said, they're kind of in this position where they're not necessarily allowed above ground to be a part of, human beings, and this earth, and they're not necessarily allowed to be a part of the inner earth civilizations. So they're just kind of stuck there, and this is why we're seeing the huge reptilian uprising at this time. The reptilians themselves on this planet have been tortured and persecuted and enslaved by their own species. So yeah, so that's just, I'm kind of digressing here, but so that was the one time that I went and astral traveled into the inner earth civilizations. I had an urge for about 2 years to really actually find one of the openings of the inner earth civilizations and actually go down there physically. I don't really have that urge anymore, just at a personal level. If I did, I'd probably astral travel down there a lot more often. But I will say, through a lot of past life exploration, I saw, a past lifetime where the Aztec and Mayan civilizations, one of their shamans got that there was a huge catastrophe that was about to hit their civilization, and they ended up finding one of these underground tunnels to the ancient Earth civilizations, and they went underground, and now there's a ton of Aztec and Mayan lineages that now live, obviously now through the generations, and they're thriving in the inner earth civilizations as well. So a lot of humanity, a lot of early humans actually saved themselves, whether it be through the Ice Age, which I once again believe is a pole shift. They also got wind of this and ended up saving themselves by going underground. I also ended up tapping into the hieroglyphs. I think it's called hieroglyphs that are in the Valley of Fire, which is in Nevada. And these hieroglyphs were, carved by the Hopis, and they were very clearly talking about these ant-like beings, these builder races in the hieroglyphs, and they were also explaining a lot about inner Earth civilizations and how the builder races of the ant beings actually help to guide them into the inner earth civilizations, which is really cool. So yeah, so there's that. I don't know too much about them, but there is a whole world down there thriving. The only other thing that I know about the inner earth civilizations is um, that they actually want to make contact with the above ground earth civilizations, but it's like a whole other world. It's a whole other culture, and I think in a lot of ways they're scared. And I think in a lot of ways human beings, just at the average level, would also be kind of freaked out that these, advanced human beings are coming out of nowhere, right? It'd be very interesting. I also want to say one more thing is is that a lot of the ancient Atlanteans and Lemurians as well ended up going underground. If they didn't want to disseminate, but they still wanted to be here, they also went underground. Okay, good question. So let's go over to Alice in Wonderland. This is a good question. I mean, talk about a question that is the question of spirituality. Why does Source exist? Is there anything greater than Source, perhaps? Are there multiple sources, um, all with their own themes? What is the purpose of existence? Is it all just ups and downs? If there is no point to it, other than, or is there no point to it other than a meaning that we give it? Great question. Ultimately, this is the question. Why does source exist? Right? I mean, this is huge. This is the end all to be all question. So ultimately, I do have an answer to this. As always, guys, take or leave this answer. But it's pretty significant, pretty profound. This is something that I really strived to also understand and experience. And thank you for the super chats, guys. Really appreciate it. So I really, was striving to understand this experience back in the day when I started channeling and downloading. What is the whole meaning of life in general? And I'm going to try and explain it in a little bit of a capsule, just a little dose. Okay. So, okay, there's a lot here, but let me just try and sum it up. First of all, there are many different sources, okay, because there are many different universes. The one day I asked to see other universes, and I was shown the multiverse, and it was absolutely magnificent. It was profound. It literally looked like, I'll kind of try and explain the multiverse for you. It looked like a toroidal field, which is amazing because my new t-shirt has a huge multi-layered torus on the back of it, which is so powerful. And so the multiverse looked like this giant toroidal field, which basically means that the multiverse actually looked like a giant donut, which is kind of funny, right? And inside this donut, it kind of looked like this vast expanse of darkness. And then inside this donut, it looked like there were all of these little, like, kind of looked like balls of light, or like a distant galaxy. Like, the cool, like, swirling, concoction of energy and light and color that we see sometimes. It looked like that. It looked like this giant, vast expanse of a toroidal field, which it looks like a giant donut. And inside the donut had all of these tiny little ecosystems and spiraling balls of light. And what it was explained to me was that, and these were very advanced beings that explained this to me, not just the Galactic Federation, but even beyond that. And they explained to me that each one of these little, balls of energy and light were a universe in their own right. And every one of these universes has their own source, and therefore this source has its own laws of physics. So all of the laws of physics for all of these universes are all extremely different. And these are things that we can't even comprehend. Just like it's very difficult to wrap our minds around the expansiveness of all of the different species out there in this one universe. It's so infinite. So then when we kind of narrow in on this universe as a whole, right, what is the point of existing itself? What is the point of existing? That is a huge question that has been on my mind since I really re-stepped into my channeling ability. I feel like I kind of figured it out, and so I'll explain it. Once again, guys, take it or leave it. Ultimately, I believe that there are 12 dimensions within this universe. Every dimension is a certain density of energy. And within every dimension, there are different containers of the physics of this universe. Many of the physics we don't even understand yet, such as gravity, we still don't understand. So a lot of the container requires either space or time. So as you move up in the dimension, space and time gets more lucid, more linear. More lucid, less linear. And so it gets, a lot less dense, a lot more closer to oneness, to unity, to pure source. And so as we move through the dimensions, we can incarnate many, many times in each one of these dimensions. And I believe that based on the limitations of each one of these dimension densities, we learn different lessons. So say, for example, just for sake of ease, the third dimension density, being the one that we're currently in right now, has 2,000 lessons to learn. And in order to learn those 2,000 lessons in the third dimension, we need to incarnate maybe it's 2,000 times. If you're a really fast learner and you can learn one lesson in this third dimension per incarnation, good for you. But most of the time, we have to have 10,000 or more lifetimes in each density in order to understand, comprehend, and learn each lesson that that density in that container gives us. And as we learn these lessons, maybe it's a material lesson. Maybe you start to realize that the material world isn't your source of happiness. Maybe you start to realize that the material world is actually just an illusion, right? As we learn these lessons, we move through the densities. The container that we are being held within in that individual incarnation becomes less and less dense, and therefore the lessons that we're learning within that container become more and more complicated. Because when you're taking a look at a third density room, and you have the bed and you have your dresser and you have, a painting on the wall, it's easy to conceptualize. You're looking at it, you're perceiving it, you're experiencing it, you're letting it go, you're moving forward. When you get into, say, the 10th dimension or the 11th dimension, the physical world, it's not as clear. It's not as straightforward. It's not as polarized. It's not as black and white. The higher density you get into, the more complex and layered and diverse and subtle it becomes. The more aware and fine-tuned you need to be in order to learn those lessons. So then you go through all the dimensions. Now, at first, when I realized this and when this was explained to me, what the whole purpose of life was, is just to really just be in the present moment, to experience the challenges, the hiccups, the ups and downs, and then to move forward with that, right? So really, it's just to experience is really the whole point. But if you do look at it as a video game, we do have challenges. We do have chapters, right? We are moving forward. There's always this perpetual movement. And it is through challenge and growth where we move. Once again, if you were pure source, life would be boring pretty fast, right? So the whole kind of purpose of this one universe in particular is to move through all of the dimensions to get to the final dimension, dimension 12. Once you reach dimension 12, you have a choice to make. You have learned everything that there is to learn, from the confinement, from the physics, from the space and time, from the densities, from the containers, from the incarnations, from the lessons within this universe. And after you have learned everything that there is to learn from this universe, you have the choice of either going back to source in this universe, going back to oneness, going back to unity, no longer needing to struggle, no longer needing to create and uncreate and challenge and learn. And that's pretty nice. Pretty easy existence going back to source. Or the other choice, the choice that many souls make after enlightening themselves within this container, we then have the choice to create our own universe. Yes, believe it or not, the creation of a universe is a conscious, sentient choice made by Source itself. We being the Source. You've learned it all in this universe, and now you can become your own universe. And creation is created through intention. So the second that you as a soul in the 12th dimension set the intention in mind that you want to create your own universe, it happens instantaneously. Instantaneously. Now, originally, when I was told all this information way back in the day, maybe about 10 years ago, and I was asking all these questions, my first original thought was, oh, okay, cool. So I guess because I'm in the third dimension frequency, it means that, I've already gone through dimension 1 and I've already gone through dimension 2 in those incarnations and in those lessons. And now I'm in dimension 3, and I guess my next lifetime is going to be in dimension 4. Well, that just makes sense, right? But it only makes sense when you're viewing existence from a linear third dimensional viewpoint. Now what I'm seeing and what I'm realizing, especially for this planet right here, and for the master species that are on this planet being human beings, being this incredible hybrid species, it doesn't work that way. It would be really nice and easy if we just go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we go through in a linear way. This universe doesn't work that way. Maybe your last lifetime was a 7th dimensional angelic being. Maybe your next lifetime is going to be an 8th dimensional Arcturian being, right? So it's not linear in the way that we would like it. However, in order to be able to hop around from a density or a dimension such as the 3rd dimension and then going into the 10th dimension, it means that you have to have some sort of experience that is backing your foundations to be able to hop, in and out of these higher and lower dimensions. Typically, if you've only experienced lessons in dimension 1, you won't be able to hop into the 12, right? I mean, it just doesn't really work that way, if that makes sense. So it's very lucid. It's really cool. Great question. Thank you so much for asking. I have explained that before, but I know a lot of you haven't heard me explain that. So let's get into, I've got 2 questions here. Tons of you upvoted these questions. So I'm just going to read them both over, and then I'm going to have to tap into this response because I honestly, truly don't have the answer for you. So, first question here from Megan Stanford. Any insight into the triple sun phenomenon right now? Many people are seeing 3 suns. Now, before I've heard of 2 suns, I've personally never heard of or seen 3 suns. So they're all lined up closely behind one another. And when they post about it on Instagram, it gets taken down. The hashtag sun has been banned as well. Super strange. What's going on? Second question here from Chloe Gomez. So hashtag sun is being blocked and censored. Do you know or can you view what's happening with the sun? Many people are claiming it's Nibiru. Is it Planet X? Could you give us some keys on what you know about this? There are so many theories and would love your perspective. Okay, so what do you guys think? What do you think about the sun? What do you think about this triple sun, double sun, the stuff that has been going on? This is huge, guys. I mean, a lot of this stuff has been predicted before in ancient scripture, up until this point in time, the only thing that I know about the sun is a potential solar flare or a cosmic wave of electromagnetic frequency that is meant to hit the planet within our ascension. And I do believe that these cosmic events are going to be taking place and are going to be happening moving forward. I don't know when. It was back in 2017 or 2018 when the Galactic Federation Security Council told me about the solar flare that was going to hit the top of Russia, that was going to wipe out the electrical grid, and they said that this was going to be taking place in 2021. Well, here we are, right? We are on the verge of hopping into this. There are also a lot of people sending me other theories about things that are going to be happening on December 21st, 2021, 2020 of this year. I talked about that last time, about this huge portal that's opening up that's going to allow a lot of us to ascend. So it's incredible. They have never told me, which is crazy, that this is the Security Council, and they have not told me about the triple sun or the double sun or Planet X, Nibiru. They really haven't said anything, but this is getting to this point where, NASA can't hide it anymore, right? I mean, there's whistleblowers. People are seeing this and experiencing this, taking pictures of it. Hashtag sun is being censored. What's going on? So let me just take a second here. I'm going to close my eyes. I know you guys can't see me, but I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to tap into it. I want to tell you right now that I may not have the answers, and the reason why is because if they haven't given me something like this so significantly so far, they're clearly holding back on the information of this for a reason. hopefully I can even just ask them, why are you holding back on the information if you're not going to tell us anything, right? And who I'm going to specifically go to is the Palladian Security Council with the Galactic Federation. And the reason why is because they specifically deal with this stuff. They deal with security measures. They deal with, they deal with issues around planet Earth, whether it be environmental or government or, astrological. They can deal with that. So just one second. Let's just tap in. Let's see what comes up here. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, okay. Okay, so they are giving me some information, which is very interesting. Okay, I'll tell you what they were showing me. So they kept showing me this almost like it's like a holographic projection of what they show. So they keep showing me this almost like a diagram. It's hard to explain, but okay, so it's planet Earth, and then they show me this planet, and it looks like the sun. It looks like a second sun. It's almost like a white, it's almost like an orangey, yellow, white light. Like it looks different than the sun. Looks smaller than the sun as well. And they show me that I don't know if it's a planet, I don't know if it's a star, but it goes in this trajectory, and it's a very sharp trajectory. Okay, and for whatever reason the trajectory wraps around the planet. I don't know if it wraps around planet Earth is the trajectory, or if it goes close to planet Earth. They're just showing me it's almost like a very, very elongated oval shape that this planet takes, and I guess it gets pulled into our magnetic field. And and the Security Council is they're telling me a couple of very interesting things. They said that a very, very long time ago, probably millions of years ago, if not hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of years ago, um, there were these galactic wars, like long before planet Earth was ever planet Earth. There was these huge galactic wars, right? The Orion Wars. I've tapped into some of those, but I've never really explained them. And during these galactic wars, this planet, they're not necessarily mentioning if it's like called Planet X or Planet Nibiru. They're not really identifying it, but they're saying that this planet was very significant. It was very much so thriving, and it was a planet that was full of extremely high vibrational, interdimensional beings. And basically, what happened was this planet ended up getting destroyed in these wars, and it's almost like if you could imagine like a nuclear destruction that happens on this planet, and it kind of takes it back to this barren planet. But because it was such high vibrational beings, or maybe the technology that destroyed it was so intense, it left this vibrational signature or this vibrational frequency around the planet. So once again, like I'm not totally sure. They're just showing me the trajectory and that it comes into Earth's field. I actually think that it's more so the fact that it comes close to Earth's field, but it doesn't necessarily wrap around planet Earth. They're saying that this is a cycle. That's what they're calling it. It could potentially be around a 10,000 year cycle. but they're not being clear on the age of the cycle. But it's definitely thousands of years. So, a long time ago, ancient civilizations on this planet also saw the second sun phenomenon, also experienced this. Um, and it was actually prophesized back then, is what the GFL is telling me, that these ancient civilizations on planet Earth felt like this was either an omen of the end of the world, and some also shamans back in that time felt like it was a beginning of a new world, right? So there's definitely a huge significance. Now, I am aware of the Mayan 26,000 year cycle calendar, and this may align, but they didn't bring up anything about the Mayan calendar. Anyway, yeah, super interesting. So that's pretty much what they said, right? Oh, yeah. What they also told me too is that when this planet goes around its cycle and it gets close to planet Earth, it can be very destructive, is basically what they said. It can mess with our electromagnetic fields. So now I'm trying to think, is that a part of the magnetic pole shift that we're going through? Is it a coincidence that the Earth is going through a pole shift? Or is it actually because of this planet that we're going through this pole shift? Um, yeah, so it said it can be very disruptive. And they also said that they were debating for a while whether or not to intervene or not intervene. Um, they're not telling me much more. Let's just see if I can dig up anything else about this planet, this extra sun, and maybe just ask the GFL if why are the governments on this planet also censoring, or the secret elite or shadow elite, censoring this information. So 1 second. Interesting. Okay, okay. Yeah, they're not telling me much more. They're just saying that this is going to be a time of great change. They're saying that it's not going to completely destroy the planet because it's a cycle, and this has happened many, many times before on this planet, planet Earth. We have been, in the vicinity of this other either rock or planet or a sun or something. Um, so yeah, so not to fear, but also to prepare for the time of great change, which we are currently in, is this time of great change. So really just to prepare for this time of great change and to hold a higher frequency for this planet coming through. Yeah, super interesting. So they're not saying much more. They're being very coy about it, but I'm actually quite surprised that they said what they said about the planet being in the Great Wars and it's holding this frequency. And yeah, super interesting. Okay, cool. Awesome. I do want to say as well, if that information does resonate with you guys, or if you've heard similar information before, I'm definitely curious and open to hearing that out or getting some of that validation. So maybe comment in the bottom or the below of this video. And I also want to mention too, just on an off note before we move forward in these questions, is um, if you want to contact me or tell me something or send me an article or whatever, please don't email me. Me and my beautiful assistant Lauren, we get hundreds of emails a day, and it's very overwhelming. And neither one of us want to be spending 4 or 5 hours a day on emails. So we love you all so much, and we love all of your beautiful, amazing stories and how I've impacted your life and, what your stepdaughter is going through or what have you. But we're really getting bogged down with emails. So we love you all so much. We're going to a purely automated system. The only emails that we're going to be manually checking is any sort of, podcast or media opportunities or conference opportunities. So Thank you for your emails. We love you, but we're not going to be taking them on anymore. Okay, so let's move forward into another question about the financial system. This is a question from P. Birch, or Paul. Hi, EA. I hope you're doing fantastic. Please tell us if the Galactic Federation has shared with you anything about the quantum financial system. Is this being tested? Could this be our Christmas surprise? Also, is the QFS supposed to be a part of the NESERA, which is the currency reset? And please let us know if we're close to having the NESERA come into fruition. Okay, good. So I want to let you know that on the back end of things, I have met some incredibly brilliant, like absolutely next level brilliant individuals, especially at some of the conferences that I've spoken at. They are all working on the quantum financial system. So I know firsthand, not through my channeling, but through my physical, personal, human experience, that the quantum financial system is a go, that we're moving forward on that all of the solutions, as well as all of the environmental solutions, are all just waiting. They're waiting in the sidelines. They're waiting to be released. Anyone else who has been following the NESARA, or NESARA, and understanding that, understands that we've been waiting. We've been waiting in the sidelines. We've been waiting for the go-ahead. We've got those alternative currencies or whatever it may be. But yeah, and so I understand that all of the pieces of the puzzle to create the utopian, beautiful, brilliant, high vibrational society that we freaking deserve, it's there. It's there for us. Let's just see. Let's go to the Galactic Federation, back to the Security Council. Let's see if they have anything that they want to mention about the financial reset, and either the QFS or the NESARA. So yeah, just one second. They're also very coy about this, especially with timelines. I know everyone wants to know timelines of when this is going to happen, but they typically don't give that information. So just one second. Let's see what they can give us. Okay. So they're mentioning a couple things. First thing that they're mentioning is same thing, just the validation of all of the solutions, all of the parties, all of the pieces are just ready to go, right? I mean, we're ready for that. There's still this wait period. There's still this waiting. There's still this holding. There's still this holding period that we're in right now before we can fully collapse the old system and then rebirth the new system. And when the GFL was talking about the old system, they literally called it, and I've never even heard them call it this before, but they're calling it the fraud system, the fraud system. And they were explaining how, and I've said this before, how all of the money that's being printed doesn't mean anything. They have no gold to back that up. They have nothing to back that up. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's this fraud system. And at a certain point in time, that $20 bill or $100 bill won't even be worth burning it anymore, right? It won't even be good enough for a fire starter. So it's a fraud system. It's a complete bubble. It's going to burst. It's going to pop. Oh, yeah. And then the other thing that they mentioned too was we don't even know, what's going to happen. Like, we've never before experienced, obviously, the younger generations have never experienced, this huge reset that we're about to go through. But even the older generations going through things like, recessions and depressions and the financial collapse in 2008 and the mortgage bubble and all of that. We've been through it, but we've never experienced what we're about to go through, is basically what they said, which kind of freaks me out a little bit, but also makes me excited because it's brand new and the old system clearly has not been working for us. Okay, so going over to Doodle Dan. Hi, EA. I'm just wondering, are there any other planets out there in the universe that are similar to Earth? Is there a planet full of a race of people who are majority asleep and living lives like us? Are they just as special as us Earth humans, or are we the only hybrid project being monitored by the Galactic Federation? Great question. Okay, so yes, I want to say that there are, billions, if not trillions, of terrestrial planets out there in the universe, just like planet Earth, with all of the same sort of, atmospheric conditions, oxygen conditions, water conditions. I think it's so laughable when NASA on this planet is like, "Oh yeah, we think that we found like microorganisms and life on Venus." Oh, really? Oh, okay. And everyone's freaking out and saying, "Oh my God, they found life on another planet," or, aliens exist because we've got these microorganisms. And all I want to say is bullshit. Come on, are you serious? We're really just starting off there with these microorganisms on another planet. Like that's complete bullshit. Like it's mind-blowing, you know, that they're just covering so much stuff up. Anyway, so there are so many planets out there that have beings that are similar to us. They may look very different than us. They may look like the beings in the movie Avatar, but ultimately we need to realize that we are quite special on planet Earth, right? I mean, I also believe that there are many, many, an infinite amount of hybrid beings that are out there that are also being monitored by the Galactic Federation. Many of the species that we see today, including the angelics, including the Palladians, including the Arcturians, were all hybrid beings to begin with. A lot of them, a lot of these humanoid species were created by the Anunnaki. And they were created, through nefarious intentions, right? And then they just decided to grow and develop and advance, and they became their own sentient species, right? So, there are many hybrid projects and many hybrid beings all across this universe. What makes human beings special and apart from all of those other beings is essentially, how do I put this? We're supposed to be this peace treaty. We're supposed to be this end of an era. We're supposed to be this end of this galactic battle on planet Earth, or sorry, in the universe, right? This huge galactic universal battle, and planet Earth and human beings, as the children of the highest and the lowest vibrational species out there in the universe, we're supposed to be that peace treaty, that end all to be all, which is quite profound, And if there weren't genetic testing and other hybrid beings before us, we would never be able to have, reptilian, Anunnaki, gray, Palladian DNA within us now, right? So it's quite beautiful. Okay, awesome. So let's go over to another question. So another question here from Addie Practico. Yeah, Addie Practico. Hi, EA. Thank you for all that you do. I've heard you talk about how there are potential reptilian clones out there right now to distract the public from the mass arrests with the pedo rings, as well as known politicians and celebs are actually also clones. I'm wondering if it's possible the reptilians have had that capability to clone like that, and if you could shed some light on any additional info on this topic. So I haven't really received any info recently. The information that I received was way back in the day, way back, like maybe 8 years ago, around 2012, maybe 2013. And yeah, and so I started getting into this understanding, this idea of clones when I saw this video of this celebrity, and they weren't necessarily acting as if they were a shape-shifting reptilian. It was something different. And when I asked my higher self what it was that was different about this celebrity, the word clone came to me. And so then I started doing research, extrasensory research, and talking to interdimensional beings about this cloning project. And then I also did a lot of astral traveling and remote viewing to military bases, like super, super top secret. Like we wouldn't even know the names of these military bases, is how secret they are. And there's actually cloning facilities in these bases. Now, cloning and reptilians are something very different. I do believe that the cloning programs are based from reptilians, if that makes sense, right? So I believe that these reptilian shapeshifters or the shadow government are the ones that are funding and creating this cloning program. I'm going to blow your mind maybe even a little bit more and tell you that the first public clone that I believe that they ever created was Michael Jackson. I know I might get freaking, ripped a new one or persecuted for saying this, but take it or leave it, guys, right? This information doesn't have to be the truth for you. But upon my research and my astral traveling and my explorations, I learned that Michael Jackson had many clones, potentially even 5 or 6 different clones. And every time they recloned his physical body, it came out more frail, more pale, more sickly looking, and the consciousness in the body became more and more weak. And that's when you allow, right? So these clone bodies actually allow a reptilian soul to step into the clone body. And that's when a lot of these celebrities and individuals become extremely corrupt. I believe that the essence and the soul and the being that Michael Jackson was quite an intelligent, brilliant, beautiful, ascended being that came to this planet to share his light with us. And unfortunately, I don't want to say he sold his soul, but unfortunately, that is what happened. And like I said, I believe that cloning is very different than the reptilian shapeshifters, but it is just another way to control the influential parties that be, which essentially control the population. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Once again, guys, I don't want this information to, make you react in any sort of way. But if it does, then maybe there's a limiting belief that you need to look into. And if you are more interested in about the cloning and programs and stuff, there is information out there that you can find. It just takes a Google search. Okay, so let's go over to Monica Kirschner. Hi, EA. Tell us about weather manipulation. Is any of what's happening right now with the current events around the world connected to weather manipulation? Once again, guys, years and years ago, I was also super into this stuff. And I took a look at this and I asked the Galactic Federation, and I, received information that yes, there is a weather manipulation program out there. I do believe that the start of it anyway was HARP, HAARP. I purposefully misspelled it in the title. Just, sometimes I just do that, for protection. Um, and above and beyond that, I believe that we've got even more powerful weather manipulation tactics. And one of them is directed energy weapons. And crazy enough is, with the California fires, there has been, and I believe with the Australian fires as well, there has been on satellite imagery, with all of these technical advancements, there have been people on YouTube posting about these really weird, heat signatures that go in a straight line that are directed right towards the California wildfires. So it's just something to think about. I do believe that these events are taking place. I do believe that they are manipulated, but at a higher, higher, higher perspective, I do believe that everything is going according to plan. We need to see the corruption, right? I believe, I know it's just gonna maybe also trigger some of you, but I do believe that 9/11, and we just passed that date, needed to happen in order for the people, being us, to wake up to realize that we are far more controlled, far more manipulated than we may want to believe, right? Things have to get worse before they get better. We have to see the corruption before we can wake up. Last but not least, last question here. And before I get to my last question, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. This is tons of free information for all of you beautiful awakeners. And I love you all so much. And one thing that you can do to give back is just to hit the subscribe button and maybe share this video. This video will only be up for 24 hours. I did leave last week's video up indefinitely, just because I thought it was a very powerful Q&A. So I left that up there for you, but this will be members only after this. And yeah, so just hit the subscribe button and also hit the little thumbs up button too if this information resonates with you. Okay, so from Hazel Mai. Hi EA, I'm curious about who parents and cares for the hybrid children right now. Timothy said that he doesn't have contact with his human father, but I wonder if his interstellar mother parents him in a style similar to what we see on Earth, or if parenting looks different. Yes. And then also in your Instagram post, you mentioned that the hybrid children do not yet feel safe coming to planet Earth. And in turn, I'm wondering how these children would be cared for, assuming they have at least some of the same needs as human children when that happens. Okay, so lots of information here. Ultimately, on board the giant mothership, okay, of the Galactic Federation, there are many of these interdimensional hybrid children being born. The main variety of hybrid children are between the the Greys and the humans, and they are called the Essassani. And so if you guys know and love Bashar, Bashar is an Essassani being. He's pretty cool. I love him. And so, yeah, so they're pretty awesome. But there's also many other hybrid beings. There's aquatic hybrid beings. There's Palladian hybrid beings. There's, Arcturian hybrid beings, Anunnaki hybrid beings. I mean, you name it. There's all these different hybrid kids. They are essentially raised in an environment that is kind of like an orphanage or kind of like a group setting. And it's kind of sad because they don't get that parenting. They don't get that, one-on-one connection. They're basically raised in a group home or like a group schooling setting, like a boarding school kind of thing. And I actually met this wonderful woman who I did a session for a couple weeks ago. And I'm not doing any more sessions anymore, so that's really nice. And so, yeah, and so this woman actually created a hybrid program when she was a Palladian being working for the Galactic Federation in one of her very last cosmic lifetimes. And she felt so bad that these children were not getting the love and the care that they needed, right, on the Galactic Federation ships. So she created this program that parents, or I guess a couple, right? So say, for example, a Palladian couple on board the ship can actually come to this like group schooling setting and adopt, right? It was kind of like an adoption technique, and adopt these children, but they had to go through parenting courses in order to be a good fit for adopting a child, right? So they had to be taught how to parent in order to adopt. Most of these hybrid children, they do not know their human parent, and likewise they do not know their cosmic parent unless they ask. That information is given to them. As far as their cosmic parent, they just take DNA from a gene pool, right? It's not like there's no assigned parent, which is kind of sad. And that's why they grow up in a setting that isn't very earthly. It's not very human. When these hybrid children come to this planet, they will not be hybrid children anymore. They will be full-grown adults who are going to integrate with human beings. And we're still working out how to bring them to this planet, how to integrate them with humanity. It's been quite a difficult journey in figuring out how to best get them integrated. So we're still working on that with the Galactic Federation. But the more that we progress, the more that we move forward, the more and more information I will release about the hybrid program. And I know a lot of you typed in all of your topics for live videos moving forward. I have received many downloads as well recently that are more tangible. But if you want me to talk about the hybrid children more in depth, because I know, I mean, this is a topic that I know so well. I've talked to them, I've communicated with them, I've been in classes with them. I know what they're being taught to come down here. It's wild, you know, but I haven't really spoken much about them. So if you guys want to know more about the hybrid children and the information that I know, then I will just comment below in the comments section of this video. And if we get enough of you commenting about it, then I will definitely do a video moving forward about it. If not, a video tomorrow. I kind of have to sit in meditation to see what information you guys need right now at this time. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking and subscribing. I will be back around tomorrow with a huge download for all of you. I don't know what the topic is yet, but you will be able to see my face, and it might be a bit of a shock. Basically, it looks like I have a really bad sunburn, and it's difficult to smile. So kind of hurts to smile right now. Okay, so I love you all. I'll be back tomorrow. And keep up the high vibes, you know, keep up the good work. All of you are here for a reason. You are all masters and teachers in your own right. So yeah, just keep uplifting your own life, and those around you will be uplifted in turn. Bye for now.